Good day. This is the series on resiliency. This is a platform welcoming all crime survivors through the Office of Victim Advocate. This is part 3 of 8 on resiliency. Today, we're going to discuss adaptability and how it can promote longevity. Jan Martel, the writer of the book Life of Pi, said that all things contain a measure of madness that moves them in strange and sometimes inexplicable ways. This madness can be saving. It is part and parcel of the ability to adapt. Without it, no species would survive. Life of Pi tells the story of how Pi survives a storm that leaves him as a sole survivor. His journey highlights the human spirit of perseverance, of choosing to practice hope and purpose to continue on. This is an extension of the idea we often see when we hear stories of remarkable individuals who overcome what others would deem to be impossible. One resounding theme I notice is their ability to turn their why me to what now. We spoke about this in week 2 when we discussed how easy to focus on the whys can become. But when the shift to what now doesn't happen, it can overtake one's will to overcome. As I mentioned last week, Angela Lee Duckworth presented in the TED Talk Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance. Duckworth transitioned from a consulting job to become a math teacher in New York City public schools. Duckworth conducted research across various settings to distinguish the indicators of longevity and success, and found that many individuals presented with grit, which set them apart and helped to push them forward in life. Duckworth defines grit as passion and perseverance for long term goals. She notes that with long term goals, it's important to start with small decisions every day, and when implemented and practiced over time, can result in the compound collective effort of the everyday. She notes that with talent and effort, the product is skill, and with skill and effort, the product becomes achievement. I wanted to share review as I believe that it pertains to much of what we talked about so far. We were able to distinguish that resilience isn't innate, but rather a skill that we can work on. During this time, we have also found that we have to practice a growth mindset, that we are not stuck in our ways, nor are we fixed as the beings that we are today, but rather energetic, spirited, and actively moving towards a better version of ourselves. Duckworth discusses in her TED Talk the importance of consistency. What can we work on this week and in the weeks that follow that can contribute to our overall wellness and resilience? Since I began my social work journey, I realized that many individuals, including myself, are their own worst critics. Recently, I came across a quote that encouraged taking self inventory and how our first inkling pushes us to only take note of the things that we can improve about ourselves, which is really not fair practice. If there's one thing that we can continually work on to promote resiliency, is that while we take our inventories, we have to be proactive and cognizant of also being able to identify the best parts of ourselves as well. The negative self-talk has to cease and we must begin to speak kindly to ourselves. No better time to start but now. Today we can practice doing this by finishing this prompt. I am really great at. Again, try to finish the sentence. I am really great at. If you feel okay to do so, drop in the comments what you said out loud. We would love to hear it. The TED Talk by Duckworth is also important to understand because it allows us to understand what can help us in this process as we figure out the long term. It encourages one to be persistent and committed to the goals that we have for ourselves. If your goal is building resiliency, the talk reminds the audience that it is not in quick bursts of enthusiasm, but rather commitment despite our shortcomings. It is also important to remember that the shortcomings and setbacks are part of the process and not signs for one to give up. Duckworth notes that there are factors that can affect grit that should also be taken into consideration, such as environment, opportunities, support, and other personal qualities. It is important to practice grace for oneself. Here at the Office of Victim Advocate, We advocate for and provide various supports for crime survivors. Support groups are available to you free of charge via Zoom. Please see the link below the video to connect with a social worker about support groups or local resources available in your community. If you're struggling or in need of support, calling 988 is a crucial step. The 988 Lifeline offers free, confidential, and 24/7 emotional support for individuals facing mental health struggles, substance use concerns, or emotional distress. As we conclude today, I wanted to share a gentle reminder that your thoughts become your words and your words become your actions. A mantra that we can continue with is times can be tough, but you know what? So am I. Again, times can be tough, but you know what? So am I. I'll see you next week.